welcome to the stage Daniel Fitzgerald.
Thank you. Following the general election of 1950, the Prime Minister, Clement Attlee, struggled to control the Labour government. The trouble was that the Labour Party had only won 315 seats, with a mere majority of 5. This left no room for rebellions and by-election defeats. By this time, Attlee was exhausted. His previous government had been a triumph due to all the hard work and creativity that had been pumped in. But by 1950, Attlee had run out of decent policies. He'd failed the first rule of politics: keep the people wanting more. The situation was not helped by the fact that many of Attlee's strongest ministers were ill or dead. The most killer blow was when the Foreign Secretary, Ernest Bevin, died followed by the resignation of the Chancellor, Sir Stafford Cripps, on the grounds of ill health. Attlee was in serious trouble. Things got even worse when the party was divided over the issue of budget cuts. Labour had been the pioneers of the welfare state, spending and spending on social institutions such as the National Health Service, but were now humiliated by the fact that they couldn't pay the bills. The new Chancellor, Hugh Gaitskell, announced his austerity budget in 1951. There was to be a huge increase in military spending due to Britain's role in the Korean War as members of the newly formed United Nations. To pay for this, prescription charges for glasses and dentistry were introduced. A rift was formed in government. The new government's stance angered the Minister of Labour, Aneurin Bevan. As the father of the NHS, Bevan was appalled that the government could possibly tamper with a service that is, after all, designed to be free at the point of use. Attlee's reputation of diffusing feuds was in tatters. His government was a shambles, and there was little he could do. In 1951, he lacked authority. He tried to rekindle his public standing in an effort to push his party into line by calling an election in October 1951. The result, Tories 321, Labour 295. Labour had been let down by Labour had been let down by the first past the post system, despite the fact that they had won 230,000 more votes than the Tories. Made no difference. These extra votes translated into increased majorities for safer seats rather than into new seats. The party was in tatters, and it seemed as though consensus politics was over. The new Conservative government, led by the World War II leader Winston Churchill, promised to preserve the main features of the welfare state introduced by Labour. Consensus politics had not been as badly damaged as was thought. Labour may have fallen into ruination, but consensus politics was as alive as ever before. Churchill returned to government just as the final wartime rations and restrictions came to an end. All he had to do was ride out the term without straying the course, and electoral victory would be as sure as night follows day. This laid-back approach to government led to him being called a caretaker Prime Minister by many. The administration of Attlee and Churchill was so similar in policies that in 1954 the economists began to use the term Buttsgillism, a mixture of the names R.A. Butler and Hugh Gaitskell, who were the Chancellor and Shadow Chancellor respectively. Buttsgillism described the economic and welfare policies associated with the post-war consensus in British politics. Churchill remained in office for 4 years until his resignation in 1955, following a stroke 2 years earlier. He allowed ministers to gain prominence in the fact that he did not interfere with departments. He was merely the man that had to be there in order to chair the cabinet meetings, without bias towards one department or another. One of the rising stars in the party was Anthony Eden. Eden won the party leadership following Churchill's resignation in 1955. As Prime Minister, Eden saw the lowest unemployment figures ever recorded, with just 215,000, or 1% of the population, out of work. This was overshadowed by the Suez Crisis in 1956 that led to Eden's resignation. Churchill very much kept alive the idea of consensus politics. His laid-back approach to government proved to be rather successful in keeping all parties happy. If one considers the very nature of the 1951 government, then they will have a clear understanding of the epitome of consensus politics. He was replaced by Harold Macmillan, who had been his Chancellor since 1955. Macmillan was known as Supermac, a nickname coined by a cartoon playing on the idea of Superman. This was further exploited by a subsequent cartoon that displayed a poster proclaiming, "Supermac, he's terrific, he's stupendous, a super colossal, top production in true blue colour." This was very apt, as Chancellor Macmillan had presided over a mixed economy with rising living standards, low unemployment and declining social inequality. The government was very popular. Supermac decided to cash in on his popularity and called a general election in 1959. The move paid off, and the Tories increased their majority by 21 seats, taking their total to a whopping 365. Census politics ended during Macmillan's government after the resignations of Chancellor Peter Thornycroft, Treasury Minister Nigel Birch, and Financial Secretary to the Treasury Enoch Powell. They believed that Macmillan's government spent too much and was storing up economic problems for the future. In short, they thought that Supermac was a lefty. This dissent on the right led to the end of consensus politics, as the parties pushed to the right and left respectively. The Tories were very much moving to the right. This would prove evident in the years following the governments of Heath and Thatcher, who would declare war on the unions.